Good morning, Mr. Sridhar, and welcome to ITF exclusive video interviews.
Good morning, Rakesh. Thanks for having me on the webinar.
Mr. Sridhar, could you take us through your journey as an entrepreneur and also brief us about your company?
Okay. So I'm basically a foundry man. I started off in the foundry business. We make steel castings, and we specialize in making castings for excavators, with our primary customers being Komatsu, Kobelco, JCB, and Volvo, and Hyundai. And from there, I got into machining of components. Then we make machine castings for the oil and gas sector. Then, as forward integration, we started to make some assemblies for oil and gas again. We started making hydro pneumatic actuators for a specific company in Netherlands, and we are 100% vendors to them. It's more like white labeling. And then we got into products for excavators itself, like the idlers and the sprockets, where we would give part supplies to the assembly chain for L&T and L&T Komatsu and Kobelco. So at that juncture, I realized that I must be doing something more interesting and more innovative, and because it was not complete for me. So I said, okay, let me look out. And that's when I was looking out for a new area of work, and I hit upon this laser sintering. That was a key word I was searching for, and that led me to a lot of ideas. Then realized that 3D printing is key, and when I really heard about it, ideas went wild, right? And so I decided that I should set up a small print shop kind of a thing just to explore the possibilities of what could happen next. I had no clear idea when I started this 3D printing as a concept, but I knew that I would do something bigger when I got into it. The more I got into it, then I realized that there was a big gap in the process, big gap in the softwares, and the hardwares were too slow and also not completely the best suited for mass production. So this is the journey then I took upon and started to work. So the first 3 years was trying to understand the concept of 3D printing, the lacunas in the technology, and areas in which we could go up the value chain. So having identified it in 2017, we started to look into software. So we made a software called AM Optimate, which is more a parameter optimization software, which could then help in the quality of build and the speed of build, and you could concoct different alloys. So that became an important software for us. And then we started to work on a 3D printer itself. So we wanted one 3D printer which is made locally, which is cost effective, because most of it comes from Germany or from the US, and then they are very expensive, and a lot of limitations and a lot of controls, and in the machine it is not open, and every time you want to do some new alloys or a new R&D work, then you will have to seek this support of the OEMs, and that was hindering quite a lot. So we said we should keep an open machine and bring out a machine which is more suitable for the Indian manufacturing industry. So we started to work on a large machine, which is a 4-laser machine, and that takes time. So we've done about 3 years put in 3 years of work on that, and the machine is now ready for release by end of September 2020. But before that, we also launched a smaller machine, which is what is also ideally required for the Indian industry in the current scenario. So this is a iFusion SF1, which is a small format machine with a single laser. And this is a machine that we launched in Jan of 2020 in the Intech. And commercially, it will be sold from August 15. So that's how the whole Intech company started to take shape. It started off as a startup. It started off as as an experiment, and now we've transformed ourselves into an OEM. And our main focus will be to have software driving hardware kind of a concept. And because the whole thing is about digitalization, and so we strongly believe that software will drive hardware and will make a big impact in the manufacturing industry.
You just spoke about Jan 2020 launch of iFusion series of 3D printers. And I saw you saying that the SF1 will be launched in August and the bigger version will be later on, right? Is that what
Yeah,
you're saying? And
that's right.
so what's the significance of iFusion series of 3D printers uh, as a company and also as an industry of additive manufacturing?
So SF1 is the first one in the series of 3D printers that we are embarking on. It's a milestone. It's a milestone for Intech and for the Indian additive manufacturing industry per se, because this machine is completely designed and developed, manufactured in India by a group of youngsters, intelligent youngsters who have literally no experience or maybe a max of 3 years of experience. So the entire design and concept was made by these guys. The softwares were done in-house. And so it is an important milestone for us and for the industry. The second thing is that the SF1 is a machine which is 30% faster than its rivals, which is from the outside. And on the whole, we are holding about 12 IPs. We've generated 12 IPs in this entire episode. And the best part of the whole thing is that the softwares are embedded and they are also in-house, developed in-house, because normally many of the OEMs, they're always depending on a third-party software to club along with the thing, except for the OS that they make themselves. But for the processes, I think they always have a third-party software, and that's the game changer for us, because even the process monitoring, quality monitoring, or the parameter optimization softwares are all made in-house, and hence the cost of developing such a or buying such a equipment would be significantly cheaper. And I think this gives a clear advantage of about anywhere between 30 to 45% for the Indian manufacturing industry. So that in that sense, I think it's a fantastic thing to do for the Indian industry, and I believe this is a game changer.
So which industries are you targeting for this series of printers?
So SF1 is basically agnostic, material agnostic, and so it can print on several materials from aluminum to titanium to Inconels and cobalt chrome. So it largely covers a spectrum of industries. It's not specific to a particular industry that has been targeted. Having said that, this is a small machine with a small laser, a single laser. Now the next machine that's coming out is a larger format machine, which is a 450 by 450 with a 4 laser machine. So there the machine is more suited for large, so low mass production, I would call it. I won't say large scale production, but low mass production. So it goes beyond prototyping and then goes into series productions. Now, when we reach a series production kind of a situation, it doesn't matter which industry we focus on. So we ideally would like to do it with aerospace and medical and automotive, general engineering, lifestyle, marine applications, and these are some of the industries that we are trying to benchmark our parts and take it to these markets. So, in short, we are taking the mission to the entire spectrum of the industry.
Okay, so are you seeing a rise in usage of additive manufacturing for making for in production rather than just being in a prototype segment?
Yeah. So right now, yeah. So the current way it is positioned is that The machines are smaller and probably about 250 by 250 in a bed size, or maybe 400 by 400 with either a single laser or a port laser. So with that in a situation and the cost being also exorbitant, it is more ideal for prototyping rather than low mass production. To get into low mass production, we have to do a lot more than that. We have to have an automated way of handling powder, handling parts, and increase the number of lasers. So you have to have something what you call as a production line concept. So when you get to a line concept, you are scaling on the entire production. So that's exactly our next step is from a single laser machine to a multi-laser machine to a line concept. So when you get into a line concept, uh, obviously you are looking at large scale production and moving away from prototyping. And Intech is all about moving away from prototyping to low mass production. That's the key thing that we want to address. Otherwise, this is a fantastic technology. It will stay in the cupboard. We can always like it, and that's about it. If you don't bring down the cost per part, it doesn't work. So the focus is on lowering the cost per part and scaling it to better production levels.
So is there any industries which are using 3D printing in line concepts in India right now?
In India, no. Absolutely no in India at this moment. Also very few abroad. Some in aerospace, some in medical in particular are using line concepts. But of course, these are line concepts which are still not really a line concept, but there are several machines in a line, but not really taking the best out of what a line concept should be. And that's where we come in, and that's what we are trying to change.
Recently, because of this COVID, etc., 3D printing was in the news for manufacturing ventilators and other healthcare-related equipment. So are you also hopeful that 3D printing will be used in the healthcare sector? The
Yes.
kind of
So 3D printing, as such, is being used in the medical sector in the form of dental applications and implants. So this was already there, and it is stabilizing. It is getting stabilized, and this will move into low series production. This will happen. Dental already is established as a low series production concept. But for implants, it will always get in. But with the advent of COVID, what's happening is there will be a increase or a focus on devices. So devices will take center stage, and then a lot of parts that could be otherwise made conventionally will now shift over to 3D printing. See, I come from a metal 3D printing background, and then there are a lot of opportunities in the plastic and the composite sites, which will also help the device manufacturing industry in the medical side. So I see there's a big scope for 3D printing in medical, and it will get there eventually.
so coming to what are the key challenges that 3D printing industry is currently facing in India?
So currently, I would say the biggest thing is probably uh, the scalability, the cost, and the entry barriers like trained manpower and the cumbersome processes. So these are currently, I think, the biggest challenge that we have in having the 3D printing adoption, and that's what we are trying to change. Again, we are trying to accelerate the adoption of 3D printing, and so what we're trying to do is to try and bring down the cost of the machines. We're trying to make it easy for people who are shifting from a CNC or a manufacturing background to 3D printing. And we are also helping people get trained manpower and simple processes, and we're trying to digitize the whole thing. So that's why we're bringing out some intelligent softwares which are loaded with the AI and machine learning capabilities, which helps in part quality, reliability, and ultimately all of this will culminate to low cost per part.
You also have a strategic partnership with DMG Mori.
So just
So
to
how is
just to before
yeah, yeah.
sorry just before we get into it, the opportunities are immense as long as the challenges I spoke about, opportunities are immense. I mean, uh, once you get into raw mass production, you are bringing down the cost. We have had a lot of examples where we've seen that a lot of parts can get into 3D printing and then are very close to the conventional manufacturing uh, uh, costs, right? So I'm not saying that every part would get into 3D printing. I'm not saying that. I would, on a rough estimate, I would say about 20 to 30% of our manufacturing parts can get into 3D printing or AM manufacturing, provided we redesign the parts, we optimize the weights of the parts, we put metal where it is required, we get some competitive and faster machines to work on. We have some intelligent softwares which will help us. So when all of this happen, then the market will open up for a huge uh, manufacturing platform. And so with the COVID around, we've seen that there has been some challenges. I mean, COVID is going to stay in our mind for our lifetime and some next lifetime, I think. So having said this, uh, there is going to be a lot of change in the way the countries think and the industries will work on. I think they will decentralize uh, manufacturing itself. They will try to bring it instead of offshoring it. They will probably not onshore it, but at least close shore it, so that the dependency on specific countries are reduced and could help them make it much more convenient and reliable. So this is something that they would like to work on. And we've seen that working from home has changed also a lot of industries and the way we really apply ourselves to work. So dark factories is going to be something that I would strongly believe will happen in the next decade going forward. So there will be a lot of digitalization, and we've also seen the industry 4.0 working towards this. I think this will only get accelerated going forward. So there is immense opportunities to for us to work on. The other thing is, which is also very significant for India, is this is a fantastic tool for innovation. I mean, earlier to develop a new material or to develop a small part, one-off part, to do some R&D work, it was a cumbersome process. The costs were exorbitant. And today we have it on our desktop or let's say on our shop floor as a tool, which can accelerate either new materials or new parts or new products. You can do a lot of testing, a lot of R&D work, and accelerate our entire innovation program. This is a fantastic tool. The other opportunity I see is that with low mass production kicking in, maybe in the next couple of years, let's say, we probably can do some catch up as long as China is concerned in the manufacturing area. This is my strong belief, right? So China has got a huge infrastructure in the manufacturing. I think we can match on the AM side if we accelerate our program with this technology. So I think these are some of the significant opportunities we have to work on and regain our lost glory as India. Now, coming back to DMG, your question was on DMG. So DMG currently is a investor in our company. And of course, the significance is that DMG Mori Siki is the largest machine tool manufacturing company in the world, and they are represented in about 157 countries outside of India, including India. So they have a huge sales network, and they are well-established service centers too. So this is something that we could leverage on. Apart from this, there are certain areas which we work together on how we could, enhance the technical capabilities of the machine. And the software is another area where we are assisting them to better their own 3D printing services and machines per se.
Coming to the machine tool industry and the 3D printing application, uh, I think there is a lot of things can be done, especially in the metal forming space. So, what are your views on that? So there is a threat that it can eat into the conventional technology or platforms of 3D printing, whether be the metal form, metal working industry.
I'm not sure about eating in. What I can definitely say is that it will, reduce machining as a whole. Let's say down to about 80%, 90%, where the fit is required. Uh, Machine tool, so that in some sense will eat away some area of machine tool itself. So that is why you find many machine tool manufacturing companies uh, as a natural forward integration are getting into 3D printing, like for DMG Mori CP itself. So you can also see Makino, you will see Mazak, you will see Ace from India, you can also see George Fisher from Switzerland. So all of these people are naturally, moving towards AM, and that's what is the right thing to do.
So if I correctly understand, machine 3D printing is ideal for low mass, high value products when you want to go into industrial production.
Uh, at this moment, the way it is, for at least for the next 2 years, that is right. My strong belief is that maybe in about 3 to 5 years' time, that's not the case. It will be completely different, and it will be a mainstream manufacturing system. It will be. Right now, it is prototyping. Maybe in 2 years' time, it will be low mass production. It's already started. It's moving there, and will establish. But beyond around 5 years from now, I strongly believe that it is going to be a mainstream manufacturing system. A lot of new developments are happening. We are working on that too, and I think we will have some kind of proof of concept coming up in the next 2 to 3 years' time, where this is significantly fast, comparatively cheap, and almost, or if not equal to a conventional manufacturing system, like machining or like casting or forging.
So Government of India has unveiled Atmanirbhar Bharat, and before that it had launched Make in India scheme. So being an entrepreneur, are you seeing the impact of these initiatives on the ground?
It is trickling in. Yes, I'm a strong believer in what the government has done so far. Though it is trickling in a slower pace than expected. They have, done a lot of work on the agriculture and the defense sector in particular. And so when everything falls in place, I think we will have a significant, impact on the way we look at 3D printing in India itself, at least for Intech. That's what it is. But however, I would definitely love to see some changes in the labor and land reforms, which will also help us in ease of business. So these are a couple of things that probably it's in the making. I'm not sure, but when it happens, I think that's important. So ease of business is something that I would definitely look forward to. But our benefits from the Atmanirbhar Abhiyan, I think, is quite significant going forward.
So
Because there
finally,
is a lot of thrust. There is a lot of thrust on the academy part. So I see a lot of academies getting into 3D printing or adopting AM as a technology itself. So it all starts from there, and I think there will be a good push going forward.
so what are your growth plans for Intech in terms of the new product applications? Are you also looking at exports?
So our growth plans are like this: that so we believe that software should drive hardware, and because it's digital, and we are in the process of developing new softwares which are loaded with a lot of AI and ML and deep learning. So facilitating conventional manufacturing users to get in and adopt 3D printing at a faster rate, making it simpler, making it reducing the entry barriers, making it rejection free, able to print good quality parts at a competitive price. So this is our focus right now. The second part is the hardware part, where we are trying to bring in larger machines, smarter machines, faster machines, and at least competitive, maybe to the tune of about 30 to 40% lower than our imported machines. right? So basically, we're trying to accelerate the low mass production concept. So that is the key right now. That's the first step. Now, after establishing this, which we will in the year 2020 and 2021, we will be moving to what we call the line concept machines, where we have centralized utilities and centralized powder systems and centralized quality monitoring system, and then we have series of machines. Of course, these are expensive machines, but the whole focus is on ROI. So when you have large scale production with ROI, I think that is something that even the Indian consumers could take. Of course, it has to mature, and this will happen in 2022 and beyond. We are working towards that right now. And after which, like I told you, there is another technology that we are working on, which is probably a proof of concept we will come out with in 2022-23, where the manufacturing will be at least 20 to 25 times faster than the current manufacturing systems. So that is something that we are working on. I can't speak much about it right now, but yeah, I think maybe in 2022-23, I think we will be speaking more on that. And the other area we would also like to work upon is try and create a software which could help in identifying parts for 3D printing itself. So today we have a challenge. That's one other challenge we have. We have a challenge of getting the right parts for 3D printing, identifying the right parts for 3D printing, and identifying the right applications. So that is something that we are trying to digitize too. So that is something that we will do in the next year. So I think we have a hands full, and we're quite busy at this moment. And we already have sold literally 3 machines. The first 3 machines have already gone. I think we will make an announcement much later in the month of July. And so we look forward to encouraging a lot of youngsters to get into the system and join us. We are pushing a lot of young talent. We are also working on the Intech Academy, and we are turning it digital right now. So this is to help youngsters who want to get into the industries, people who are trying to move from conventional to additive manufacturing, and stakeholders who would like to orient themselves with this business. So that's the things that we're working on at the current moment.
Thanks, Mr. Sridhar, for sharing your insight into 3D printing and additive printing manufacturing. And it was wonderful talking to you.
Thanks a lot, Rakesh. Nice talking to you guys. Thanks a lot. Bye.